Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The Stock Movers Report, your roundup of companies making moves in the stock market, harnessing the power of Bloomberg data.
I'm Carol Massar along with Tim Stanovic. Let's get to some stocks on the move today. With us is Bloomberg News equities reporter Natalia Kinijevic. Good to have you here. Tim just mentioned higher oil prices, and that's got a group of stocks moving today.
Exactly. So let's talk about petrochemical stocks. So one of them, LyondellBasell, the ticker is LYB. The stock is up by 6.6%. So this is all about the so-called oil to gas ratio. So all these petrochemical companies, they use in the US, they use natural gas to produce their products. In Europe, they use oil or mostly oil in Europe or in Asia. So it means that natural gas prices are still at about the same level. Oil prices are moving up. It means that production costs for global producers are moving higher. Here in the US, they are still the same. And Bloomberg analysts are saying that potentially global petrochemical producers will have to increase prices for their products, which means higher margins for US petrochemical producers. And we also saw that Citigroup analysts removed downside catalysts for LyondellBasell. They also raised price target to $46 from $40.
Yeah, I'm seeing shares of APA up right now in the S&P 500 by more than 6%. ConocoPhillips up right now by 5.5%. Devon Energy up by close to 5%. Valero up by 4.4%. So a good day to be long those companies, but it's been a challenging couple of weeks.
Yeah, and Dow Chemical, right, is also one of the names that is definitely among an outperformer, I believe, in the S&P 500. So we've definitely seen those names, some outperformance there, and you understand fundamentally, at least for today.
And also it's interesting when I look at positioning across different sectors, positioning across energy sectors are very low. It means that there is still more room for upside if investors want to increase exposure. So it's not excessively bullish.
Okay, that makes sense. Got to talk about also making sense, talking about banks because they continue to report their numbers. Wells Fargo is on your radar.
Yeah, so Wells Fargo shares are down by almost 5% today. So
they're just getting hammered today, aren't they?
Exactly. Yes, such an interesting actually earnings season. So profit estimates missed because severance costs drove up expenses. The company is spending about $612 million on those costs. And CEO also said that he expects higher expenses in the fourth quarter because the bank continues to lower this cost base, and more job cuts are likely to come this year. Just to give you some numbers, guys. So at the end of September, the bank had almost 211,000 employees, and that number was just above 205,000 at the end of this year. So the bank is lowering the number of employees. And also, of course, everyone is watching how bank executives are reacting to Donald Trump's proposal to reduce that credit cap interest rate. And of course, Wells Fargo is saying that, yes, it is a concern for industry. It could potentially hurt consumers' access to bank credit.
There is a narrative around these big banks.
For sure.
And we're definitely seeing it play out. So we should all just jump on a ship and go cruising.
Yeah, let's take to the seas.
Let's take to the seas. Royal Caribbean is something that you've been watching today.
Yeah, so Royal Caribbean shares are also down by 5%. So today we've heard from a couple analysts. So one of them has actually put this company on its so-called short downside list. So they see some headwinds for the company. So for example, they say that demand is slowing down for cruise operators. And then we also heard that pricing is also an issue for some of them. And they also say that supply can be a challenge, and maybe there is some kind of oversupply in this area overall. And of course, today we've got news that the U.S. State Department kind of thinks about suspending visas, right, for multiple countries. And we saw shares of hotels, airlines, online travel operators are moving lower across the board.
I feel like these cruise guys have been on a tear, though, for a few years. And I feel like we've talked to a bunch of the CEOs or key executives, and they've been pretty upbeat and positive. But that's a very different tone.
Exactly. Just last year in December, everyone was so positive. Now we see that Delta Airlines also was not that great in terms of outlook. So
yeah, you do
travel
wonder.
sector is definitely something to watch.
The Stock Movers Report from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.